Hi, and welcome to the Moves News. This edition of the Moves News it has a reporting of my attendance yesterday at the NHK Trophy competitions, the short programs and rhythm dances, which I enjoyed thoroughly at the architecturally magnificent Yoyogi Stadium, which is really quite a unique structure and was so well dressed up for the competition. It was just tickety-boo as far as being a really well presented event and a well presented and building with excellent decor and design of the building. And yeah, I wish actually frankly that I had seen more creativity and originality in the performances of skaters in general. I saw a lot of very high energy performances. I saw some very good jumps and spins. I saw some excellent use of music here and there. But I would like to see skaters copy each other a little less, and there's no better example maybe than the trendy knee slides that we see nowadays over and over again in almost every program. There's a knee slide in the step sequence, and now skaters are taking advantage of this knee slide to exit from spins. Almost every skater uses a knee slide to exit from spins now, and that's considered to be a difficult exit. And I don't know, it's not really difficult to fall down on your knees as you come out of a spin. And it's not really intrinsically difficult. I don't think that it requires really that much practice to master that move coming out of a spin. I'm not saying it's easy. To do it smoothly and gracefully is not easy either. But there's so many more examples that we could think of as far as difficult exits from spins. So I would like to see skaters avoid these fads. I mean, and yeah, you want to conserve your energy, and also you want to use a difficult exit that you know that the judges are going to recognize as difficult too, because your concept of a difficult exit the judges might not agree with, or they might not have seen before, so they're not perplexed as to whether it's really difficult or not. But I think come on, let's give a little bit more credit and confidence, place a little more confidence in the technical specialist to analyze what a difficult exit from a spin is without copying one another, without following these fads, please. Difficult entries might be difficult just because we're not used to them. Like it used to be when we first had this international judging system that we have nowadays for the last almost 25 years now. It used to be that a back entry into a spin was a feature. If you went into your camel spin on a forward inside edge into a back camel, that was considered a feature because it was difficult, and then everybody practiced it, and then it wasn't difficult anymore because so many skaters could do it quite easily, and everybody took advantage of that feature. And so eventually it was not anymore characterized as a feature. And probably like how would you now, judges and technical specialists and administrators, how would you now come along and say, okay, everybody, we can't call this knee slide coming out of the spins difficult anymore. Excuse me. It's not as easy as saying, well, the forward inside edge into the backspin is difficult. Well, that's not a feature anymore, and we can say that. But to specifically get that out of the difficult criterion is not so easy. You don't want to all of a sudden not give credit to a skater who's been giving credit. You'd have to have some kind of announcement or bulletin probably to do that. It's just my suggestion as well. Yeah, well, I was looking through actually, because creativity and originality, innovations have always been kind of a definition almost of figure skating, you know, and there are some mentions of creativity in the criteria that the judges use to assess the component scores. But there's nothing that really says nowadays that a creative move gets more credit. There is some reference to how the elements fit together in an original way. It's kind of hinted at here and there. But I think the rules as far as component scores are not really very precise at all. They use the word precise a few times, but they don't say what they mean by precise. And I don't know. I think the composition of the definition of component scores is a bad composition, personally. And I think it should be, some more thought should go into making it simpler, like not so much verbiage to define what we mean by, you know, skating skills and composition, presentation. There's sort of repetitions of the concepts within that definition. There's concepts that you can't really understand fully what they mean by, you know, like there has to be a unity of the elements in the program, and what do you mean by that? Like, you know, in music there are sort of motifs and things that sort of make the structure not just ramble around aimlessly. And but you know, in figure skating we are trying for diversity, and the word diversity is used in the definition of the component scores, but not in reference to specific creative moves. So, but yeah, we want to make this sport quite interesting. And you know, like one of the highlights of the event for me was watching somebody like Nhk Grand skate her short program. It was really creative. It was riveting. She showed a style and some various motions that I hadn't seen before. So you really sit up and take notice when you see something like that. Many skaters, I just don't remember their, even if their performance was brilliant, I don't often even sort of remember it or even remember their names or who they are. It's just kind of like I see it and I marvel at the execution and the brilliance of it, but it doesn't leave a lasting impression on me. And so creativity, originality is something that I think we should place a little bit more emphasis on. And I think that we should make an effort to get away from fads, trends, and mimicking one another in our moves. Just my take on things from your, creative skater Gary Beacom. I've kind of built my reputation on creativity. It's something that that's been very important to me, and I've had a very satisfying and rewarding career, not only as a competitor but as a show skater through the years, just because I'm innovative and creative. Yeah, the Japanese spectators there at the Yoyogi Stadium had much reason to be proud of the Japanese skaters who placed very well in the competitions, and I was very impressed with the Japanese men in particular. They turned in some brilliant performances. Yuma Kagiyama, in particular, was just stunning. The brilliance of his skating skills, the musicality of performance, he put all the elements together, and it was definitely quite a exhilarating experience to be in the building and watch that live. And all four of the Japanese men, the one Japanese man who represents the United States, all four of them were really, really quite good. I'm not frankly as impressed with the Japanese women. I don't feel like in general that they demonstrate the high level of skating skills. Um, they don't jump very high typically, and so because they don't jump very high, they do spin very quickly to complete the rotations, but they very often over-rotate the takeoffs and under-rotate the landings. Even if they're within the quarter, they're still kind of like under-rotated, and they often land in because they're challenged to get those rotations in because they don't jump very high. They're not massive, floating, beautiful jumps like what the men demonstrated. The top two Japanese men demonstrated just like jumps that just appear to float through the air. Japanese women don't tend to do that. And yeah, okay, women aren't on average as strong as men. There is that. But yeah, they tend to they don't tend to use the edges as well. They tend to have more flats, 2-foot skating, pauses going into their elements even on some occasions, and makiashi, wrapped free legs, ugly positions on the landings. They get into beautiful positions on the landings, but they're not, let's say, photogenic the whole time. If you took a picture of the landing of a jump, you shouldn't get into an awkward position where your free leg is wrapped around and your hips are back, even if it's only very, very briefly. And so that would be my criticism of Japanese women skaters in general. And one measure of skating skills is how skaters do brackets. And I've said before that there's hardly any brackets that we see nowadays. Virtually no skater, if you went and looked at the tracing on the ice, you would see a change of edge before and after the turn. So that all brackets nowadays are 3 turns, but at least some skaters make that change of edge closer to the turn. And some skaters make the change of edge so obviously. They flatten and the curves the wrong way, and it's actually a 3 turn. But many of the Japanese skaters do really bad brackets, so that's just my take on things. They have many things I could talk positively about as well. Japanese women skaters tend to be very, very consistent, tend to be. They exude confidence, and they're very high energy as well, and they have, very good, they're well-rounded as well. They have good jump spins and step sequences from the perspective of the average person watching. Like I've been in skating for, well over half a century, so I have a real keen eye for technique, and I see flawed technique here in Japan a lot, not only at that high level that you would see at the NHK trophy, but just in general when I go to ice rinks, I see skaters entering into their jumps on straight lines, not jumping very high, and getting into wrappy free leg positions in the air. So Yeah, I would like to see the judges and the technical specialists. I guess judges. It would be. I would like to see the judge. I mean, just because a skater does a quadruple jump doesn't mean their skating skills are good. And I don't think the judges discern enough between jumping prowess and skating skills. And just because a skater does gets credit for a triple loop jump doesn't mean that triple loop jump was a good quality triple loop jump, and it certainly doesn't mean that they have good skating skills and should be getting +3s and 4s and 5s in other aspects of the program too. So our sport will improve if the judging and technical specialization improves. And I'm not saying it's easy either. I mean, yeah, I skate almost every chance I get, almost every day. So I'm really immersed in this sport to quite a degree. So I have a very discerning eye, as you would expect. Yeah, so what else in the moves news can I give my 2 cents on? Yeah, I bumped in. It's nice to go to an event like this because you see people who you haven't seen for a while often. And I bumped into Benoit Richaud. Hi, Benoit. It was nice to see you, and it was nice to have a little chit chat with you. And we watched much of the men's short program together. And Benoit, he's very perceptive, and he has a keen eye, and he's really committed, and he looks into all aspects of trying to achieve excellence in what he does. And one of the things that he taught me is he mentioned like that he recommends not using lightweight blades for his skaters now. Nowadays he's got all his skaters in sort of the old classic steel blades. And when he said that, I was thinking, yeah, there are a lot of advantages to lightweight blades, right? When you move your leg around all different directions, accelerating this way and that, if it's lighter, it's easier. But I do notice myself when I skate on deep edges that there's like a chatter, there's like a vibration, and I'm thinking, yeah, Benoit, maybe you have a really good point there. The lightweight blades are not as stable, and so I don't know if the advantages of lightweight are worth it. I was in some lightweight blades of a different brand that I'm using now, and I don't have to mention the brand name, but I had 3 really bad falls on the takeoff of double loops. Double loops, something that I've been doing for so many decades. Double loop, really easy jump for me, but it freaked me out, and they were really bad falls, and I hurt myself really badly 3 times, and then I got rid of those blades, and I'm now in different blades now that are also lightweight, but I haven't had any. They're not unstable to the point where I've had some nasty falls in them. But yeah, maybe I'll consider going back to some the old classic steel type of blades and see what the difference is, and hopefully I'll be able to report on that to you. And yeah, there's something else I talk a lot about in my videos about not waiting, not pausing going into your jumps, like keeping the flow going. And I talk about the advantages of that, one of which is your grade of execution for the jump will be lower if you pause and wait before you step into the jump. And another disadvantage is if you break that momentum going into the jump, it makes the jump more difficult. So It's hard to know what causes what, but if you pause and wait, now you've made your jump more difficult. And if your jump is more difficult, you're not going to have as much confidence, so you're going to be more likely to pause and wait and feel a certain trepidation going into the jump. But there was no better example of how this pausing, this telegraphing going into the jump can have dire consequences and make a jump more difficult than poor Jason Brown, who had a long pause going into his triple axel and then goofed up the jump. You know, like he paused, and then kind of like stabbed at it, hurried into it, and it was like skiddy and quick and rough, and he kind of lost his balance. What did he do? He stepped out of it or something like that. So yeah, and I noticed a direct correlation with many other skaters. The quality of their jump versus the flow, the rhythm and flow that they had going into those jumps. Yeah, so just a few observations from the NHK trophy here in Japan. And I think I can wrap the moves news up there. And you can certainly thank your anchor by sending me some love. Touch that heart, share and subscribe to Gary Moves channel, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye for now.